So let's start with Lazada University's Packaging Guidelines webinar. The topics for today would be first, why is proper packaging important? And then what materials are you going to need for proper packaging of your products? How do you pack your products and what documents should go with your parcels? What are the consequences for not following the standards for Lazada for improper packaging? First, let's discuss the basics of proper packaging. Here in Lazada, we managed to divide the idea of the importance of proper packaging into 5, because as merchants, you have to understand that your products will undergo transport, which means that you need to make sure that it will reach your customers in the best condition possible. One way of doing that is by following our standard guidelines. Why do you need to properly package your products? First is to protect your items from natural elements and to preserve it in order to avoid damage during transit. You know that your products will be exposed to natural elements like sunlight and rain, and these might cause problems or damage to your products. Next, you also want to contain to avoid spills or missing parts. Very crucial for fragile items or for products that are breakable in nature, which contains liquids like perfumes and oils. Also, you have your big products that may contain screws, bolts, and nuts. You also want to inform of high quality operational processes. This is one thing that I always remind sellers whenever I do a webinar. Remember that your packaging will speak a lot about your own operations as a seller. Okay? Which means that the customers will view your shop according to the product that they will receive. If you want positive reviews regarding your product, then make sure that you're sending them out with proper packaging. And of course, the last is to sell the Lazada experience, which is the best online shopping experience in the Philippines right now. Aside from those important factors, you also want to influence your customers and encourage them to do repeat purchases. What is repeat purchases? This is gaining the customer's trust by providing a positive Lazada shopping experience, or the Suki system here in the Philippines. As our partner, you should follow Lazada standard packaging guidelines for better customer satisfaction. Here is a simple illustration showcasing the flow in which your products will undergo in order to reach our customers. So from the merchant, it will be delivered to the Lazada center. And then from the Lazada center, it will be taken by our logistics team. And then from there, it will be given to the customer. If ever our customers have problems with your products, then they're going to return the items with original packaging, ideally, back to the 3PL delivery hub, and then back to the Lazada center. You should also take note that your packaging must help your item withstand at least 4 trips. And as our merchant, following our packaging guidelines will ensure your product sellability and longevity. The general rule is that you should put your product in an outer protective box. Afterwards, make sure that the empty spaces are filled in order to prevent the product from moving around in order to avoid this. Example. As you can see, the example on the right is a badly damaged product. It even has a fragile notice on the outside of the box, and there's a huge tendency that the contents of the package is also damaged. Chances are this product will be returned to the customer and it will come with bad reviews for the seller and for the product. Next, let's go to the materials for proper packaging. You're going to need carton boxes, packaging tapes, stretch wraps, bubble wrap, foam, wooden crate, envelope sleeves, pouches, and cement paper. For your carton boxes, the boxes must be made of corrugated paperboard, and the middle layer must be E flute or B flute in nature, which means that E flute is 1.1 to 2 millimeters thick, while B flute is 2.5 to 3 millimeters thick. Why do we recommend this type of boxes? It's because they pass the edge crust test, which means that they have a desired stacking strength of up to 35 pounds or 15.87 kilograms for ECT26, which simply means that if your products are subjected to weight or if another product is placed on top of them, they won't be dented, they won't be damaged, and your products are properly secured. For packaging tapes, we allow clear and thick packaging tapes and tapes with logo and branding of your shop or of your business. However, we do not allow colored packaging tapes and tapes with prints or designs and adhesives not suitable for transit, like Scotch tape, glue, or rugby. For your wraps, please use bubble wraps for most of your products in order to avoid shocks and damages on your product and the boxes. For the stretch wrap, if properly wrapped, this prevents liquids from entering the package. For your fillers, please use extra foam, newspaper shreddings, and extra bubble wrap. Remember to keep your item from shifting around or moving inside the box by putting ample fillers. Also, take note that fillers are not replacement for primary product protection like bubble wrap and foam. The main role of fillers is to keep your product centered inside your box or pouch. If your product weighs 10 kilograms and above, please use a wooden crate. Simply wrapping heavy or bulky item will not protect them from damage during transit. If you insist on using the original packaging of your product without a crate, then you run the risk of experiencing this. As you can see, it's just like the example that we have presented before. The packaging is badly damaged and it even has a fragile notice on the box. So there's a huge tendency that the contents of the package is also damaged. For envelope sleeve, please use transparent and resealable envelope sleeves. This is used to hold the airway bill for parcels that are not in a pouch. It also protects the airway bills from natural elements. For the pouches protect fabrics, short cables, and similar materials during transit. Right now, we are allowing two types of pouches, the blue pouches and the orange pouches. For cement paper, this is waterproof paper used to cover items that will be shipped out in a pouch. Usually, cement paper is used for fabrics. Okay. Now let's go to the proper packaging for various items. Guys, I'm noticing some questions in the chat box. As I've stated before, I'm going to answer most of them after the webinar. And yes, you may use Taglish or any mode of communication that you're comfortable with. Just remember to wait until the end of the webinar and do not leave the session until we're done. Okay? So now let's go to the proper packaging for various products. So as you know, here in Lazada, we have a multitude of products under different categories, which means that we have several ways of properly preparing products. For items without any boxes, especially for small to medium-sized items, please use the single box packing method. What is it? Or how do you do it? First, place the items that might be affected by dirt or wet conditions inside the plastic bag. Afterwards, wrap your item using bubble wrap, foam, or other thick cushioning materials. And then place it in a packaging box. Next is to fill the box with fillers to keep the item from moving and then properly seal the packaging box. So that is for products without any boxes. For products that do come with boxes, remember that display boxes are not strong enough to withstand transport requirements. So if you insist on using the display box or the original box of your product, you run the risk of having them damaged or destroyed during transportation. How will you prevent that? So in order to prevent damage from your products, you should use the box-in-box packing method. First, seal the product box accordingly, and then wrap the product box using bubble wrap or other thick cushioning materials. Next is to place it in a bigger box, and then fill the box with fillers to keep the item from moving, and then seal the packaging box. Why do we recommend the use of another box? The idea here is that if ever the outer box gets damaged or destroyed, your product or the original content of your item will be safely secured inside the display boxes with wrapping. If you're going to sell liquid products, please use the sealed caps method. First, seal the cap with proper adhesives and cover, and then place it in a packaging box. Next is to fill the box with fillers to keep the item from moving, and then to seal the packaging. You can use old empty egg cartons to improvise as bottle covers, and you may also use dividers for multiple liquid items inside one box. If packaged correctly, you should have this type of example. So as you can see, there's a fragile notice on the outside of the box, so it will be taken with utmost care by the logistics team, and you cannot feel the silhouette of the content of the package. Okay, so this box contains a bottle, but you cannot tell that the contents of the package is a bottle because the shape of the bottle is not sticking out on the box. For large and bulky items like electronics, usually they come with original packaging that is enough to protect the actual item. Just double check that they meet the Lazada standards that we have set, because this is something that we will take into consideration if you're going to be filing for a dispute or a claim. How will you determine if they do meet the Lazada standards? First, they should have dual wall corrugated packaging box. They should also have bubble wrap or foam to protect the item from any form of damage. And of course, styrofoam to keep the item from moving during transit. If they meet those criteria, then remember to seal the box properly and then to wrap the packaging box in sufficient bubble wrap and shrink wrap. If your product weighs greater than 10 kilograms, as advised before, you should use a wooden crate. First, seal the item properly and then wrap the package in shrink wrap, and then build a symmetrical crate around it in order to protect it from all sides. For fabrics and cords, or for similar materials that are small in nature and can withstand greater than 15 kilograms of weight, then please use the pouches. For fabrics and similar materials, wrap the item in cement paper. This will protect the product from moisture, and then place the item in the pouch. You can also use the original bag of the product, the plastic bag, and then seal the pouch properly. For cords, small cables, and similar materials, you may place all of the parts inside the plastic bag. Cover the bag with bubble wrap and then place the item in the pouch. You should remember to seal the pouch properly. Again, anything that will get deformed when placed in the pouch should be boxed. So it simply means that if your product doesn't fit inside a pouch, then you should switch to a box. If the product doesn't fit inside your box, then you should use a much bigger box. Other tips: place all of your small parts and freebies inside the bag and include it inside the parcel. Seal the box properly with packaging tape using the H-tape method, and then mark fragile items accordingly. When in doubt, please refer to your signed Lazada seller agreement for the correct packaging of your items. Next, we're going to discuss the important documents that you need to print out and include with your parcels or your boxes. You should have your own sales invoice as a merchant in accordance with local laws. You should have 2 copies of your airway bill or shipping label and then 1 copy of the carrier manifest. For the sales invoice, all merchants should issue a sales invoice per order in compliance with local laws. Place the sales invoice inside the parcel before you seal it, and then remember that the sales invoice, airway bill, and the item should match. For the airway bill or shipping labels, please print 2 copies of the shipping label, and then the printer specification should be margin default, orientation portrait with checks on the headers and the footers. Fold the airway bill in the middle and then insert 2 copies of it inside the envelope sleeve. I want to repeat this because this is very important. You need 2 copies of the airway bill inside the envelope sleeve. Attach the envelope sleeve on the top or on the largest side of the box, and remember not to close or seal the envelope sleeve. This is a perfect example of a properly packaged envelope sleeve. And of course, you need to print out a copy of your carrier manifest. The copy of your carrier manifest should be signed by whoever is going to pick up your product, because this will be tallied with the end of day report that we have if ever you're going to be filing for a dispute or a claim. Remember that everything that you're going to be handing over to our logistics team should be indicated in your carrier manifest. The carrier manifest will include the total number of your parcels, which will equate to the total number of parcels picked up, which is indicated in our driver's route sheet, which will ultimately sum to the total number of parcels handed over. Okay, next we're going to discuss penalties or default fees. To cover additional costs like reprocessing and third-party charges due to non-compliant packaging, Lazada is implementing default fees. This is indicated in the seller agreement under Section 8, which means that you will be charged with the packaging when the packaging does not meet the requirements mentioned in the packaging guidelines. This is 280 pesos per item, inclusive of 12% VAT. Once you receive a default fee notification, you need to look into your email. Okay, there's a consolidated list of orders with default fees sent every Friday. As a merchant, you have the ability to file an appeal or a dispute, which should be filed within 7 days upon receipt of email notification. Once the appeal is approved, there will be a reversion in the statement of account. If you fail to file an appeal or a dispute, then there will be a deduction in your SOA. Here are some examples of non-compliant packaging. I'm just going to point out some notable ones. For improper packaging, you have your inflated items like balls and wheels. Those products should be deflated at all times before packaging. Also, remember that you cannot bundle, tape, or tie products or packages together. If your product doesn't fit inside a pouch, then you should use a box. If you have 2 orders from the same customer, then you should include all of those products inside a bigger box. For damaged packaging, items that are not properly sealed will be resulting into torn pouches and product boxes, wet parcels, tampered packaging, crushed or dented original packaging, and cracked or damaged item. We're also going to be penalizing you if you print wrong or incomplete documents, like missing airway bill, insufficient copies of your shipping labels, 2 different airway bills inside 1 parcel, and other documents included in your envelope sleeve. Also, please take note that your printer should be in excellent condition when you're printing your documents, because we're going to be penalizing poorly printed or faded airway bills, or slanted or skewed barcodes. We also have some examples of improper handling of your documents, like non-transparent envelope sleeve or sealed and closed envelope sleeves, or airway bills taped or attached to the parcel directly. Some important reminders before we end today's session. Follow the 3Ps 1R process, which means that you should print your documents, pick the ordered items, pack the item properly, and then tag them as ready to be shipped. If you want to get your packaging materials from Lazada, like your pouches and Lazada boxes, then please use the link provided in this slide with the password merchant@lazada.ph. You can also use our frequently asked question pages on popular topics. Just go to that page, the support center for Lazada, click help, and then type in your questions and then check the answers provided. If your query isn't satisfied or satiated or answered by our FAQs, then you may communicate with our PSC agents. Okay, we have your chat button on your seller center, and provide screenshots and state your problem accordingly so that they'll be able to find a solution to your query. Okay, so next we're going to go to the Q&A portion of today's webinar. For more courses like this one, remember that we have everything that you need to know about online selling on Lazada University. Also, check out our frequently asked question pages on popular topics. And don't forget to join the ever-growing online community for Lazada merchants, which is Facebook @Lazada PH Seller Community. Thank you for attending today's packaging webinar.